Okay, we'll start back down here with Kevin Cahill on this one, and the subject is Common Core. Several questions actually from you this morning, and if you have questions you've written out, raise your hand, and Cindy Bell will pick them up if you'd like them read. So what's the answer in New York State? We've kind of taken the lead. Keep it, change it? What do we do with Common Core? 2 minutes each?
Thanks, Ward. Common Core has at the very center of it a very responsible principle that we ought to be educating our children so that when they are finished with high school, they are qualified for one of two things: the workforce or higher education. Who can argue with that? That's what the concept is of Common Core. The curriculum that is used in Common Core is a curriculum that has been vetted by educators across the country. It is a curriculum that is not a controversial curriculum. It's not something that for mainstream thinkers and for educators and parents who see the actual substance of Common Core, they don't have a problem with it. But here in New York State, we didn't roll it out right. Here in New York State, we required our educators to layer their Common Core compliance with what they were already doing. We didn't provide the teachers the tools they needed to prepare the students properly for this. We didn't prepare the parents and even the students to understand that the scoring on these tests and the analysis of Common Core would be different than anything they encountered before. The result was a lot of failure across the state, a lot of panic. I experienced it in my own family when my 9-year-old granddaughter came up to Kingston. I expected her to want to ride her bike, but all she wanted to do was just breathe a sigh of relief after a week of testing. So it needed to be fixed, and the legislature stepped in and we fixed it. We postponed significant parts of it, but we didn't abandon it. It's not something we ought to abandon. It's something that the State Business Council thinks we need to prepare our students for the workplace of tomorrow. It's something that educators think that we need in order to fix what's broken in education. It's something that I think the students themselves would say they need when they are out there trying to get into a college, trying to find that job when they finish their education. What we did in the legislature was try to fix something that's broken. We stepped into an arena where the legislature doesn't usually go, and that is the education arena. I hope we don't have to do it again, but if we do, we're ready to do it again to make sure Common Core is actually created in the right way here in New York State.
Tonight, one of my colleagues in the Ulster County Legislature has a resolution against the Common Core standards. I invite you to come and have your comments heard tonight in front of us, 7 p.m. at the county building. I'm personally against the Common Core. It probably violates the 10th Amendment. Any power not given to the federal government should be given to the state. The federal government didn't mandate it, but they're holding money back. They will hold money back if states do not adopt it. But what do we replace the Common Core with? That's a good question, and done some homework on it. We need to increase science, technology, and engineering education. Mr. Cahill just mentioned something about IBM looking for engineers. Our competitors in Asia, they produce the most engineers, and that should be produced right here in New York. We need to have better access to programs that teach carpentry, electronics, plumbing, etc., so our kids will be job ready when they graduate high school. We need to promote greater parental involvement in our kids' educations. We have to combat chronic absenteeism. That's a problem in some inner cities. And we should begin foreign language instruction in elementary school, and those kids that thrive on it should be encouraged to continue. And together we can get New York working together again without the Common Core.
Yeah, well, the Common Core has been a problem, has been a common problem, and naturally, I think Kevin Cahill explained it very well, and the problem being that the way it was unfolded, it was just our teachers were unprepared, our students were in shock, and parents just didn't know how to help their children. So it was a problem, it continues to be a problem. And by the way, I am one of very few, I believe maybe 2 Democrats, who actually initially voted to stop Common Core. But when that vote failed, I voted to bring down this plane that was getting built in midair, so to speak, and put the brakes on and bring it down and try it again and see what we can do to fix it. Naturally, I was very upset as a parent when my 9-year-old came home with the results from Common Core. They didn't look good. She was very upset. I calmed it down. But you know, I think at this point we can salvage the program. I was encouraged to see that my daughter's math teacher the other day, last week rather, when I asked her what she felt about the Common Core, her math teacher said, well, I think that Common Core is good. I believe it, and I'm teaching it. So we can salvage the Common Core. And I also believe that we do need to put more emphasis in technical skills and STEM education. These are the things, you know, there's nothing more than an employee being well diversified and be able to use his hands and his head and his know-how and, you know, our technology to create things that others need and want to buy. We understand that, and not every child is going to succeed in a traditional class situation. So we have to be sensitive and be able to help our children in a way that best fits their needs. Thank you.
We needed to stop using our children as guinea pigs. Common Core is not for us, nor has it ever been. It is time for us to understand that and not just vote once to stop it, but continue to fight. We should not settle with an answer of no when we're told that we don't need this. We need to insist that this is not for our kids. We know what our kids need. We should be part of that part of that solution. We should be brought to the table as parents, as educators, as the community. We should all have a say. As serving as school board president and vice president and on the school board for 3 years, we need to look at what is going on in our schools. Our teachers are not happy with this. Public schools are not happy with this. So when we start asking teachers about it, let's make sure we're asking public school teachers how they feel about it. Let's make sure that we're going to them and making sure that they're able to teach this, to how the students feel. Kids are going home stressed out. I've seen this firsthand with kids coming home crying over their grades, over what's going on in school, not understanding, being tested on things that they haven't even been taught yet. Common Core came to us as part of a federal funding. So it came attached to money. Many districts took it because of the dire straits they were in regards to their funding. So they had no choice but to take this because the state had already reduced their funding. The first thing is the state needs to pay back the money that they stole from our kids with the gap elimination. That should be the first thing they do with the surplus. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Roberts is right. It is a violation of the 10th Amendment because the federal government, our federal constitution, does not allow anywhere for the federal government to be involved in education. So my problem with Common Core is that I don't think we need to have some generalized standard. I think what we need is to teach our kids critical thinking skills. When you have critical thinking skills, you can do anything in the workforce. You can be trained in the workforce. When you are programmed, like I use the example often of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. If you're going to train alphas to do alpha jobs and gammas to do gamma jobs, when the community changes, you're going to have a bunch of people who aren't going to have critical thinking skills. They're going to be programmed into doing certain jobs. I think going back to having our institutions that our teachers are professionals, we're subjecting them to having modules and not being able to actually teach children that are unique, and everyone has a unique way of learning. The founding principles of this country are about our individualism, about our freedom. They're not about having just the McDonaldization of education like we're seeing with Common Core. So as far as the rollout, it was terrible, but the curriculum is bad too. And as the mother of a Marine and sitting next to someone who served honorably in our armed forces, the curriculum is very negative towards our military and towards many of the things that we stand for. And so that's why I just reject Common Core. I've hosted and attended numerous forums on Common Core and listened to people from around the state, because my district's so large, on this issue. And the people are generally opposed. It imposes excessive costs. on our local governments and on our local school districts, and we're the ones paying that through our huge property taxes in New York State. So let's, as Sakima said, let's go back and get rid of the gap elimination, fund our schools properly, let our local school districts and our professional teachers teach our children in the way that they need to be taught. Thank you.
If I may, and I've attended, thank you. I feel kind of like a mushroom over here because I'm no candidate. No, I'll go quickly, but I've attended any number of hearings across my counties and for last year and a half. And there's a quote from Albert Einstein, something along the effect that I believe in standardizing the automobiles, but I don't believe in standardizing human beings. And I think that's really where we're all coming from. And this issue has been one of the issues that has united people, regardless of philosophy, regardless of income, regardless of education. People are railing against this because we're being forced into this cookie cutter mode. If anything, we should be giving schools more flexibility, more ability to be creative, more resources so that they can explore things with their kids. If someone is tactile, they should give them an ability to work with their hands more. We should provide the basic education, but give them opportunities, give them more flexibility, and we'll do just fine. Thank you.